All right, welcome in for another episode of the Lowdown Sports Show. This show is brought to you by Fanatics and T Public. I'm your host, Drew,
I'm BJ.
and we're here to get the lowdown on all things basketball going around the association once again. Once
Yes, sir.
again. It wasn't going to be around the association, but so much news has come in that well, there's a
Had
lot to
to.
talk about now. Yeah.
We had
I
to.
know. And we're going to get to it as fast as we can and get through it, hopefully, today's episode. Of course, got conference finals going down, BJ. Uh, bubble rematch, maybe brewing still.
Maybe.
But
Although
the Nuggets
the
and
script leaked. The script leaked, Drew. I hope you saw that, and we'll talk
uh,
about it.
the Nuggets and the Celtics got something to say about it, though. We'll talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Some coaches got fired. What's Ja Morant doing?
Mm.
Uh, Spurs get the number one pick. What?
Wow.
Okay. The W season begins the day this episode drops. As
Yeah.
we record on a Thursday,
So much to
season
talk
starts the
about.
19th. Oh my goodness, it's right around the corner. We're going to talk about that today. Going to have some predictions on those awards as well,
Ooh.
ladies and gents. MVP. Who will be this year's MVP? And many more things, as well as BJ's best. What's on Drew's mind? With it or quit it. That awesome game. Well, BJ, what do you want to talk about first in the NBA?
Ooh, there's so much. Let's talk about the short leash that these coaches have, Drew. I mean, you notice how,
Ooh.
I mean, we got Doc Rivers that got canned after the Sixers loss in Game 7 to the Celtics
Mhm.
on Sunday. You saw Monty Williams in Phoenix just a couple years after making a title appearance. He's gone out the door. And of course, we talked about obviously in Milwaukee already, Mike Budenholzer losing his job just a couple of years removed from a title. You know, so much has changed, and I think Steve Kerr is the only coach going back, the past 3 or 4 years that's won a title that's still employed with the team he won the title with.
Yep.
Because you
Yep.
got Nick Nurse also, but that wasn't this year, over in Toronto after the 2019 title.
Yeah. Well, Nick Nurse was canned this year.
Was he?
Yeah.
I guess I mean, it's
But
Drew.
it's been like it's been like a month now though,
Yeah.
so it's
It
kind of
feels
filtered back.
it feels like it was like a year ago because of how much has happened since then.
Yeah, we've had four coaches getting canned, and he was a part of that list that got canned
Hmm.
all in this year, the end of this year here. So Nick Nurse, Budenholzer, and recently you mentioned
Hmm.
Monty Williams and Doc Rivers. And Doc Rivers, BJ, I saw this stat on ESPN: 10 Game 7 losses.
That's got to be an NBA record. I
Man,
can't
like
I
when
can't
you
think of any coach that has had that many and lost all of those amount. Like, has he how many game sevens has he actually won as a coach?
how many jobs can he keep getting based off that '08 title? Because I mean, he hadn't had a whole lot of success. I mean, like they
I,
just
I
winning in the regular season. We'll get to the semifinals and all that, but all those Game 7 losses, you know, no championship since. I don't know if he's seen a conference final since as a head coach. Not that I can think of, but I mean,
the Clippers didn't make it when he was there. The Sixers
correct,
didn't. They were really
correct.
close, but they didn't. They got you know butt blasted on Sunday, and of course everybody remembers the 2019 four bounce shot that Kawhi hit to knock them out. Um,
Well, I think, well, he went back to the finals in 10 after they
mm,
won in 8. But
yeah,
he lost.
to
But
the
ever
Lakers. Yeah,
since then, so it's been 13 years since he's done anything past the semifinals.
yeah. And Drew, I
Keeps
mean,
getting
I'm
jobs though.
a
Keeps
little
getting those
a
jobs.
little bold prediction. I mean, he's only gotten two jobs, but
Hey,
Drew,
but they're
he's stayed well past his welcome. I feel like at those two jobs is the thing,
mhm.
and I think Drew, I think there will be somebody that says we got a young nucleus. We'll give him a chance with them. That's not like in a position to compete right away. But I don't know how many years it's going to take for him to get back to this point again.
he
where he
even
could
be
be on
willing
the
to
break.
take a younger team like that though?
If
He's
he
dealt with
doesn't,
mostly veteran teams ever since what was it, his Magic stint?
I was gonna say he is ever since
Yeah.
the first part of his Celtics tenure, they were really young with Paul Pierce before they got went out and got
Mm.
KG and Ray Allen. So and they weren't successful, Drew. They weren't successful then at that point. And I don't I think he would have to if he realizes there's nobody else that's a veteran laden team that's going to give him a chance. I really don't think that he's going to get another group of superstars together and coach them and try to get them to that point. I think he's going to have to kind of you know grin and bear it and prove that it wasn't his fault at these two stops. They wouldn't buy in. If he can get that buy-in from a young group and take them to that point that they got to back in Boston and winning a title, getting back to the finals. If he can do that, then everything that has been a criticism of him will be proven to be invalid, and he'll have the last laugh. If not, if he wants to go back the route where he has been with veteran laden squads that come up short in the postseason, I mean, that's
Hmm.
that's his prerogative, I guess. But it just depends on what he really wants to do.
Yeah, and I mean, ever since he left Boston, those Clipper teams, these Philly teams, they've all been first and second finishes in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, so he's like I said, he's had a lot of winning success in the regular season, but we mentioned it postseason is kind of what is kind of the difference maker here. Only 3 years in Philly. And how many years was that stint in LA? Looks like 7 years,
Yeah, I was
seven
just
seasons in LA.
yeah.
So
It,
where
it was
is
it was
the
quite a bit.
if you could see Doc Rivers landing somewhere, where would that be? And do you think that he gets his next job before Monty Williams does?
I don't think he gets his next job before Monty Williams does. I think there's probably more of a market for Budenholzer and Williams. I mean, I think the Sixers, when Monty Williams got fired, they were hoping, the front office was hoping that Doc would have another collapse. They'll bring in Monty Williams immediately if they could. I think that that's where they're looking, and I wouldn't be surprised if they give Monty Williams exactly what he wants to take that job. And you might see that here within between now and our next episode. I think they're going to try to go fast, swoop him up, and bring him into because I mean he's had success getting them past that point of the conference semifinals, even though the last two seasons of Phoenix haven't ended the way they would have wanted. I think he's a great coach. I think he would be fantastic to try to coach up Joel Embiid and whatever they do now that Harden seems to be on his way out the door. Whatever they want to do to replace when Maxi with Embiid, with the nucleus that they have around him, and maybe getting some more assets in there as opposed to just James Harden. Who knows what Philadelphia could look like next year?
Yeah, who knows what Philly could look like, but they got to get over that illustrious hump.
Mm-hmm.
But BJ, some teams that are getting past the hump of people not believing their run to the bubble was too real is all the teams that are back in the same position they were 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Nuggets versus Lakers, Heat versus Celtics, and almost in the same fashion
Yeah,
as last year, but or back in 2020. But
yeah,
the Nuggets won Game One this time, and of course seedings are different, obviously. But the Heat
yeah.
took Game One again versus the Celtics.
As the lower seed both times.
Yes, and Jokic had a phenomenal performance. Jimmy Butler and the Heat came back for a 13-point deficit to get a victory.
Mm-hmm.
What did you
Yeah.
like from these two superstars and their teams? And is it going to be the same? Are we going to get that bubble rematch?
Well, if you look at what the script has called for, I'm going to
I
see if
didn't
I can
see the
find.
script
I'm
actually.
gonna see if I can find that picture. I was sent the script, and so I
Oh,
think you. Uh,
well, I like it.
well, I mean, you might as
Well,
a.
no, like think about what players I'm a fan of. Well, does it benefit me in an
I
LA way?
I think it does. I think I think it's beneficial for LeBron fans. Let's see. Let
There we
me
go.
hold
That's what we
on.
like to hear.
I've got right here. Let me go ahead and upload this. We're going to pop up our overlay for just a second because this is
Oh,
what was sent to me.
oh!
Yeah. So I this is a
I
little
can't.
bit blurry.
I
Yeah, I
can't
know.
read that.
Well, all right. Let me see if I can
This,
share my screen and zoom in on it. Let me. Anyway, so
all right.
uh, what I was sent. Oh, yeah, it's just really small print. But what
Okay.
I was
You ain't got to
sent
worry about
is that the Lakers are going to be successful uh, over the Nuggets in 6 games. They're going to win and
it.
move on
Yeah.
to the NBA Finals,
I
and
like
the
that.
Celtics are going to take down the Miami
Oh,
Heat, and so you're
yeah.
going to have a matchup
In how many
between the
games?
Lakers. I think. Let me see. I'm trying to get this to not be so pixelated. Um, I, you know, I it would looked a lot better on my phone if I can find where I put my phone.
Okay, well, Lakers Celtics back in the finals for the first time since, as we just mentioned,
2010. Yeah.
Doc was there with those Celtics against Kobe and the Lakers. It'll be the first time we've seen that in 13 years, and the
Hmm.
NBA has been clamoring for something like that for a while.
Yeah.
And those two franchises have made the finals over the past few years, but not against each other either time.
So this
So
says that the Lakers win over the Nuggets in 6. The Celtics beat the Heat in 7, so a home
7,
court
okay,
win, and then the Lakers take the Celtics to 7 and upset them to win in Boston with a
I
LeBron.
like that.
So
The greatest script.
this says that Nikola Jokic is going to score a 40-point triple double in a Game
Oh
3
man,
win on May 20th.
gross.
That's coming up. The Celtics are going to see Jimmy Butler score 36 points in a game 1 win for the Heat. How many did Jimmy Butler score in last night's game, Drew?
31, I
Okay,
think.
so I mean, maybe that's wrong. Maybe it was a misprint, but
Let me check.
and and then the Lakers defeat the Celtics with LeBron James scoring 53 points in Game 7, which is a new NBA record for Game 7 points. We've seen it. So it was 50 in the first round, 51 in the second round. Somebody's gonna score 52 in the conference finals, and then LeBron's gonna score 53 in Game 7 of the NBA
In
finals.
year 20? Oh man,
Maybe.
what a
I mean,
script.
if Kobe could do it with 60, but the thing you have to remember, Drew, with all these scripts is that they may not end up turning out to be right. Remember back the Super Bowl script that was supposedly leaked that had the Eagles over the Chiefs 37-34, and then we saw was Kansas City winning that one 38-35. So
Yeah, they
I
ruined that script on purpose.
maybe this script has been ruined on purpose so that you get the Lakers Heat
Cause
rematch.
what's the what like if what was the total points? It maybe like was it the same points, but just a different way to get there? I don't,
I was gonna say I think it had two more points actually.
yeah,
Both teams scored one more
two
point
more
addition.
points, two rings for Patty Mahomes. Ah, that was part of the
Mhm.
script.
Yeah. So, and obviously this doesn't have any scores or anything like that, but it just says to load the Larry O'Brien
Oh,
Championship Trophy into dressing room 17 by 2:20 p.m.
what did you say Butler was supposed to score in game one? 36.
Yeah, 36 points in
I
game
was
one.
wrong. It was 35.
Oh wow! Look,
Way
look, we were
closer.
1 point off. Oh man!
That's
Oh,
one
the
missed free
heartache.
throw away from being
Oh, the
exactly.
heartbreak, man.
See, that's what's supposed to happen. Like you miss one and get to your 35. You can't be exactly on the script. Like everything
Yeah.
has been, everything. The little script when stuff
It's so
happens,
close,
things are
but
so
it's
close.
you point to it and say, "Aha! No, he only got 35." But what you're failing to remember is that yeah, he got 35 when he was supposed to get 36, and they still won.
I
So
need some extra points or something. Spread it
yeah,
out.
I mean they didn't need that extra free throw that he missed at least,
No.
but in a 7 point win. But no, in all honesty, I still think that it's gonna be tough for the Lakers to overcome this Nugget squad.
BJ,
What?
that's crazy. He did miss one singular free throw. He was 9 for 10.
Are you actually buying into this now, Drew? Because I said
Hey,
it?
hey,
Anything that helps
read him
LeBron
and
out?
weep.
Is that what you're saying?
Read it and weep. It's right here. One free throw away. The one he missed would have had 36. It's the script, BJ. He saw it. I'm telling you, Jimmy Butler saw the script.
Oh man, well it's because
Uh,
I mean, of course he had to see the script because they were given the script, so they knew what to do.
yeah, that's right.
But anyway, so um, in all seriousness, I think it would be interesting. Some of the matchups that we could get besides potentially a Celtics Lakers rematch from 2010. We might see a Miami and Laker rematch from the bubble. you might even see a Denver versus Boston matchup with Jokic, who I've said Drew has been my pick for MVP this year and should have won it. And I was steadfast last year in saying that Embiid should have won it last year, but they flip flopped him around for reasons I'll never know. But Jokic was far better this year. It felt like to me than he was last year, and should have won it this year, as opposed to Embiid, who was better last year, should have won it then, but ends up winning it this year. And so, I mean, I'm
Straight
continue to
up
be
MVP.
I'm continue to be impressed by Jokic and his performances. It's going to be fascinating to watch what happens in Game 2 and the rest of the series. If the script is going to continue, Drew, the Lakers are going to have to steal one in Denver.
They will.
Denver, Miami, and the Lakers have not lost a home playoff game yet this year. The Celtics are the only team still remaining that have lost at home in the postseason.
Well, they're gonna do it tonight, PJ, at
And we'll see.
7:30 as we record on a Thursday.
We'll see. It's going to be interesting for sure.
Well, BJ, what's interesting is your answer to these next two questions I got for you.
Okay.
How do you feel about Ja Morant's decision making? Just once again in the wrong situation, whether the camera was on or not, still in an unideal
I
situation.
just I
And
don't understand what
at the
what
same time, go
yeah,
ahead.
I just don't understand what the lack of decision making is really what it is, Drew. Because
Yeah,
the
just
thing about it is there's nothing wrong with if you have firearm, that's great. That's if that's what you want to do, that's fine. I don't think you should necessarily go around brandishing it on social media or flashing it to minors to get away from you or whatever. But he does have a right, under the Constitution to have a firearm. What's not smart is when you said a couple of months ago when you were in a strip club, with money and strippers and a gun in there, that you weren't going to do this type of thing again. And then you go on Instagram Live and you're like, oh wait, let me show you what I just got. Oh look, another firearm, or
like it's not
show the
like it's been
firearm
a
again.
year. It's
No,
not like it's been 5 years.
no,
It's
it's
been a
been
month
a
or two.
month or two, yeah, at most. You
It's been a
just
month or
you
two.
just got suspended 8 games for the first time. You said all the right things at the time. We were supposed to believe that that was the case, that you really had changed. You were going to learn from this, and you didn't. And that's what's my biggest problem with it, Drew, is that, if you are, in a position where you're saying this and then so blatantly go the other way and not do anything like you said. I mean, people have talked about suspending him for a year for this, and I mean, I can understand why it would be because you just can't do this. You got to, in this climate, the way that things are, it is a world where there is a lot of people that don't like the thought of guns in any kind and speaking out against gun violence. um, you cannot go around and have it, showing it proudly on Instagram or whatnot, and you definitely shouldn't have it at a strip club. So the fact that he didn't learn his lesson from the first time is why it feels like that would be the best course of action for him, because if he's suspended for a year, how much money is he going to lose? He's not going to be able to be a supermax player. I mean, this is, we're seeing his stock go so far down in such a short time. And we know he's talented. We know he's got the potential on the court, but it's just sad to see what he's doing to himself. Nobody is doing this to him. He is doing it to himself and ruining his life in this way.
I wonder what type of suspension seems, accurate for, what he's been doing. So the first one was 8 games. The second suspension, like, what is his maximum of games you think? And like, is he gonna be a Memphis Grizzly for very long anymore? Like a team that goes through that a couple of times. I know it's your superstar, but can you trade him now? Maybe get some assets in place of him, and so you don't have to worry about this, or like
Who's going to
depending
trade
on
for him?
how close the situation is, do they trust Ja to like? I mean, you said this last time. Are you saying the same stuff again? Can you actually get past this
I
and
mean,
like keep ahead?
who's going to trade for him, Drew? With
I don't
everything that's
know.
going
I
on,
mean, there are
who?
people who will gamble for some stuff.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, people are still interviewing Mark Jackson.
that's
Uh,
true.
but I mean, he's gonna get. I mean, there's gonna be some team willing to risk it to add that piece to their locker room, and
Yeah,
maybe be willing to pay to get him the it extended help, whatever it takes,
yeah.
whatever those measures may be. But not great decision
I
making
think
on
I
his
think he'll
part.
be I think he'll be suspended through the rest of the year. I think you'll see
Rest of the
the start of the season, and then by the, like come the not to the All Star break, not to the midway point, you'll see him through the rest of 2023 be suspended. He'll be able to ramp back up at starting in December. Won't be able to work with the team or at the team facilities, but he can begin like shoot arounds and whatnot. And get back and they can bring him back at the beginning of January. I think that's probably about half a season that he'd be suspended for. I think that's the stuff the tough but strict decision that they're going to have to do.
one last question, BJ.
Go for it.
San Antonio Spurs got the number one pick to get Victor Wembanyama.
Hmm.
Is it rigged?
No, I mean it feels like it because I mean, how do you tell me that David Robinson, Tim Duncan, and now Victor Wembanyama are going to be San Antonio Spurs? But I think that this is the thing: is like, did that surprise anybody, Drew? Did it really surprise anybody that San Antonio? This is what their tank off has been for the past couple of years. They knew what the ultimate goal was. They didn't want the number one pick last year or the year before that. They were waiting for this year, this moment, to try to get the best possible odds, and they did. And it stinks because they're about to be really good again here in a hurry, just like they were when Timmy Duncan came in. But I can't imagine why you would think it'd be rigged. If it was rigged, I mean, I don't think San Antonio is necessarily the biggest market that you could put a superstar like Wembyama in, and to try to promote him as the future of the sport. If you were going to rig it, it would be a better option would be like a Houston, which is a bigger market. You could put him in, Chicago, obviously following in the footsteps of Michael Jordan. They had so many picks in the draft lottery that they could have gotten one of them at number one. So I'm hard pressed to believe that it was rigged, but it shouldn't have surprised anybody, is what I'll say.
And now it's time, ladies and gentlemen, for BJ's best.
Well, thank you, Drew. Well, this time around, we're going to talk about road trips. Drew, you had a road trip just a couple weeks ago when you went over to Jackson, Mississippi
Indeed.
for for a baseball conference tournament. But that takes you out of state, and I just was curious. I had a road trip to Texarkana last week. I did a back and forth in the span of it the same day for a game out there. And the question I'm going to start this off with is, what is the furthest that you've ever had to drive for a playoff game that you've broadcast before? Was it when you came out here and did that football game with me, although you only had to drive about half of it when we called that game in Grand Prairie? Or you're muted, I think, by the way, Drew.
Sorry. Well, that Jackson, Mississippi trip was technically the postseason. I mean, it
That's
was
true.
their postseason conference tournament. So,
I was meaning more like in-state type of long road trips, but I
oh,
understand. I understand.
in
Yeah,
states.
I should have specified that, I
Um,
guess.
probably the game with you. I can't think off the top of my head. My Sulphur Springs game wasn't very far. I mean, it was in Forney. Um, see, I've gone to. Oh man, I can't remember where that game was. It was. Oh man, I'm thinking of the gym right now. I did Mount Pleasant's playoffs last year. Oh, but I don't think I've gone any further than in like hour and a half, 2 hours. No more than that for sure.
So I found this article. This is a couple years old. This was back in the COVID season at the high school level. Um, this is talking about Union Hill. Have you ever heard of them, Drew?
Union Hill. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Union Hill. They're a small school down in Gilmer, six at man, 1A football. In 2020, they had their first two games of the season were approximately, they had to travel approximately 1,300 miles to play those two games.
What?
So, I mean, that's an average of 650 miles per game.
Oh
Uh,
man.
Union Hill was, put in position after the pandemic started They had to change their schedule from what they had originally put together back in February of 2020. And, you know, now, or back then at least, when they got to that point in the season to, having to put together a schedule on short notice, they were trying to, build a new schedule. Um, and they could not really get anybody that was west of I-35 to come to them. So, they had to drive out quite a bit. They went down to Bryan, play St. Joseph. That fell through, or that's what they were going to do. They had a game with Morton that they scheduled for Throckmorton that was scheduled, and then it went had to cancel that one. So first week they had to play Stephenville Faith in Throckmorton since they had the field reserved, uh, and so that's 600 miles away. And then they had to play the defending state champion Blum in week 2, but then they had to cancel that game because coach went into isolation with COVID.
Ooh.
Their week 3 opponent wasn't convinced that playing them was the best thing to do, so they didn't feel like they should chance it. So they had to get another team that they played back at Throckmorton, apparently. So they they ended up going to Crowell, actually. Um, the game they left school 8:15 in the morning. They arrived at Crowell 7.5 hours later at 3:45. So they basically took the entire school day to get just to Crowell. They beat the Wildcats. They were back on the bus at 9 p.m., but did not reach campus until 2:45 a.m. Saturday morning. So I guess it could be worse for us. We could have had some further road trips than just a couple hours. I mean, what that was about 150 miles. I've got another 100 or so to go here later on today after we get out of the podcast mode and into road trip mode myself. Um, but it certainly could be worse, Drew. And so that's kind of why I asked, in state if you had any farther, because like you said, you hadn't had an opportunity that would take you far. But the further you go in the postseason is when you get into those type of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I had in 2019, the first season that I was doing football, I had so we won our first round game that was played down in Athens, was where the site was. So that's still pretty big haul for me, but at least from the team's perspective, it wasn't that far. The second round was played in Nacogdoches, which is
Ooh.
so much further for me and the team because that was essentially the neutral site from up in the DFW area with Crandall, and they were playing Little Cypress Mauriceville. That's down in the Houston area. So that was a second round matchup that they had to play. Um, you had in this past postseason in the 5AD1 level, Drew, you had a road game I had to go all the way out to Marshall, which is basically like 15 minutes from the border with Louisiana.
Yep, right
That was a
there.
2 hour plus drive. What's up?
I say, yep, right there.
Yeah. Forney, they had to go all the way down to Houston. They had to play Barbers Hill and Mount Bellevue.
Well, that's what they get for being big schools. They should have known that was coming.
No, I mean that's not what you would think to expect in the first round of the playoffs, Drew. When you're in that kind of position, you think you should be playing local, like closer to you schools, and then the further you get into the playoffs is when you'd have that long of a trip. Wouldn't that seem fair to you at least?
Yeah, I mean, maybe,
It
but
just
you never
that
know what can happen these days with the way they mix up the
the
divisions and
districts, yeah,
and the districts.
yeah.
So
So
my schedule this past year is a lot more favorable driving wise than the previous year when we were in 5A. I didn't have a single 2 hour drive at all. When I
oh,
think
I
last
had
year we had two, and we didn't have anything further than an hour and a half this year. So
yeah, I was just saying I had we did the game together back in the 2021 season. That was for me it's only about an hour, but from Crandall it's like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours depending upon traffic.
that
We had
was
to play.
last year silly. That was this year silly goose.
No, it wasn't. It was
Yes,
last
it
year.
was because I had my camera. I took pictures.
No, because it was the 21 season, not
22,
22.
22,
No, we
20.
didn't play last year. You were in for it last year.
No, I did the playoff game with you though.
Yeah, I know. I remember that, but I'm
Oh, I
talking
thought
about
that's
back
what you
in
said.
no, in 21 when we were both doing broadcasts. But
Oh,
for the
against each other is
yeah,
what you mean. Okay,
that's what I meant. Yeah,
gotcha.
that was a far trip. We had a game at Corsicana and a game at Ennis as well that year. So
Mhm.
ultimately, I was on. I had 3 hour plus long trips just in the regular season, and then obviously we got to the postseason this year, and I had you know quite a different story where I didn't have any long games, long road trip games type of deal until we got to the postseason. So, but so that Drew BJ's best is about road trips. And before we go, my final question for you is:
Ooh.
what's the furthest road trip? Was the trip to Jackson your furthest road trip that you've ever made for any reason, or have you gone
Oh, for
further?
any reason.
Yeah, any reason, not
Is it
just related to sports.
is it me driving it or is somebody else taking the drive?
You could go either or. I will accept both.
Okay, me driving, yes. Um, Trips period, no, because back when I was in high school and middle school, we took church camp trips to Panama City Beach, Florida, and we went by charter
Hmm.
bus. So it was about 12, 13 hours.
Yeah, we had something similar when I was in high school with choir. We went to Atlanta on a charter bus, and that was a day. I'll tell you what, that was a day. So, but for me personally, driving, I think the furthest I've done is I want to say San Antonio because that's about 5-6 hours from here,
Mm,
and then you know, I've all over, to east and west when I was a kid. We would do road trips because it was, we had a little bit more time that we took with it, but we also had more fun, and it was a little bit cheaper, cost effective back then to drive instead of flying. So,
okay,
but
there you
that
go.
is BJ's best, and it's about road trips this week.
BJ's best. You love to hear it. I love a
Heck
good
yeah.
road trip, even though that was for work. I still like the drive. It was pretty easy
Oh,
drive
absolutely. I mean,
actually.
what straight shot, right?
Yeah, for the most part, especially once you got to Shreveport, it was a straight like 235 to finish it out. So
Mm-hmm.
it was pretty easy for the most part. I've had trouble driving like 4 hours to Arkansas before kind of getting sleepy, but I didn't
Yeah.
really get that this time. I was good to go. And
Good stuff.
and we're trying to get our fans good to go, BJ, with some merch because well, just kidding. There's no sale. There's no T Public sale, but the merch is good. BJ's got it on. You see it right there. We rep it all the time on the show, ladies and gentlemen. There's no sale online. No worries, though. You get the gift of free shipping instead. Free shipping on orders $80 or more. Visit the link in the description to get your Lowdown merch today. Make sure you get stocked up. It's summertime, so you don't want to mess with hoodies. You want t-shirts. We got tanks. We got baseball shirts and much more. Just check it out at the link in the description and get your Lowdown merch.
That's right, Drew. And we're also down to the final four in both the NBA and the NHL playoffs. There's only one place to go to get all that playoff merch. That's over at our friends at Fanatics. Now's the time to go get that Americana collection that is pretty new. It looks nice. All your camo collection as we get closer to Memorial Day and remembering what that day truly is about. You can get your favorite team repped in the camo print, and also there is a new premium collection that is still looking really enticing, Drew. I might have to wait for payday and get some from the premium collection myself. All the playoff merch, whether you're rocking with LeBron in the Lake Show or if you're cheering on Jimmy Butler, Himothy, as some have called him, cheering on the Miami Heat to another title. Maybe those Dallas Stars are primed to slay the Golden Knights of Vegas in the Final Four of the NHL over the Western Conference Finals. Fanatics is the place for officially licensed merchandise. Right now, you can get free shipping on orders over $99 by using promo code 99SHIP at checkout. Of course, that is US only. Fanatics.com, which is officially licensed everything. And now, Drew, it's time to find out what's on your mind this week. What's in store for us over here, my friend?
Well, BJ, on my mind this week, it was struggle to kind of find something this week. I didn't know which direction I wanted to go, but then I saw a trailer come out today, and we're gonna talk
Really?
video games.
Oh. Okay.
Video games. A specific video game, and I don't know if you've ever played this before, and I've asked you how much of a gamer you were in the past. I don't remember your answer.
I
Just for
try
a second.
to when I have time. I try to be a little bit of a gamer.
Okay. So, we'll see if your gaming goes back to when this began, because I know this was a part of our childhood as they continue to come out with games, and that's Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat, BJ, about to come out with yet another game, and they got a super awesome trailer that I would love to show you guys, but I don't want to get copyright claimed. But you can check it out. Just go out and I mean, you can get on Twitter and search Mortal Kombat and find the trailer, or Google it and find the trailer as well. It came out earlier today around like 8 in the morning. But Mortal Kombat, one of those games that have gone through system after system that people have played all the time. Some are good, some are bad, like the others, like mini games that come out for the same
Hmm.
franchises. But this trailer looked really nice, BJ. Kind of like the movie trailer for the Mortal Kombat movie that came
Wow.
out not too long ago. That was just as good of I thought it was a really good video game trailer for what's coming out, and it looks like
Hmm.
good gameplay. I've played video games for a long time. I used to play Mortal Kombat, and I might have to get back into it and play some Mortal Kombat this time around. I know my main shtick back in the day, BJ, was Halo.
Hmm.
Dug into a lot of Halo games and then slid into Call of Duty and the Apex Legends of the world. Always played the sports games, Madden and 2K, things like that, and dabbled into the interesting ones like Monopoly, Dead by Daylight, and some others. And those fighter games haven't been a big part of my video game mix for a while now,
Hmm.
for whatever reason. Maybe it was just because it was always a part of the childhood for me when we played video games. We played the fighter ones, we played the racing ones, the stuff that were,
Hmm.
competition with each other, everybody playing around. I mean, it can
Oh
still
yeah.
be competition because you can play online now. People play online all the time. And I mean, you could a little bit then as well, but just to see how far video games are coming and these games that are still alive to this day, still making Mortal Kombat's to this day,
Yeah.
seeing Sub Zero and all those characters up in the game, it's been cool. I noticed that today. BJ, have you
Yeah.
seen the trailer?
I've not seen the trailer, but I have played at least one of the originals. So I got this collection back on the PlayStation 3
Hmm.
of like a lot of original um, Sega games that came out like around the Genesis, like the Ultimate Collection. So it had like your
Hmm.
Sonics, your um, Earthworm Gems, games like that that were originally on the Genesis. They put them all on one disc for the PlayStation 3 because and looks a little remaster. And one of them was not not just the Street Fighter but like Mortal Kombat. And so I played the Mortal Kombat games as part of that collection for a while. But I don't think I played a newer Mortal Kombat game maybe since the PS2 days. I don't know. I can't remember if I have or not. I I, I like the I've been more big into sports gaming, as I think you and I have talked about. But even then, that has kind of gone downhill pretty quick, outside of a couple exceptions over the past few years. And so, like when I game now, I find that I'm more like older school games is what I feel like I can like and appreciate. So, like I go back and I had this game on the PlayStation 2. I remember that had all the old like Namco Atari games
Hmm.
like Dig Dug and Pac Man and all those. It was so much fun as a kid to play those games, even if it was just reskins of what we had, like what they had back at the beginning of the video games being popularized. Um, but that looks like it is some of the characters from Mortal Kombat. And I mean, Drew, the pictures you're showing here for our listening audience, I legitimately at first some of the models look like pictures of real people or AI generated pictures of real people. It didn't look like a video game to me. I'll be honest with you.
Right? I mean, it's
That's
that's what
that's
I was saying.
just so high quality.
games have come so far. It
Mm-hmm.
looks great.
Yeah.
Characters like Cao Lang, Scorpion, Johnny Cage.
Mm-hmm.
Man, gonna be. I think it'll be a good game. Sometimes the trailer looks good and the game flops.
Yeah.
So I hope this isn't one of those. But
Like
the
Madden a
trailer
couple years
looked,
ago.
yeah, like that for sure. But it looked like a really good game, BJ. When you get the chance, make sure you check out the trailer for Mortal Kombat. Uh, it's called Mortal Kombat One
Okay.
when they're coming out. Which I
All
mean,
right.
I've seen 12 as well, but I've on the main, I think it was Twitter where I was at.
Yeah.
It said
The
Mortal Kombat One or
yeah.
yeah on the release.
I
So
see that Mortal
Mortal
Kombat
Kombat
1
One.
like the title of the game, even if
Yeah,
it is like the 12th. Yeah, so because the
right.
latest release was Mortal Kombat 11 back in 2019.
Right.
Uh,
So both hashtags exist, so don't get confused out there, people. It is titled Mortal Kombat 1, but it is the 12th.
the 12th game
I
in this
believe so.
saga. So, all right, awesome stuff, Drew. That's what's on his mind this week is video games and Mortal Kombat specifically. But Drew,
Hmm.
as we get ready for the start of another WNBA season, I
Oh
saw the
boy.
unfortunate news that one of your favorites and mine as well that never really got her place in Dallas was a part of the cuts of the Dallas Wings roster over the past couple of days, and that would be Charlie Collier or Charlie Collier, I should
There,
say.
there you go.
Want to.
Uh,
I went a little too French with it.
yeah, Collier and Kalani Brown were cut by the Dallas Wings as they finalized their roster to 12, and Lou Lopez and Diamond DeShields are going to be out with injuries for a little bit. Lou Lopez
Hmm.
out 6 to 8 weeks, and Diamond Shields missing a chunk of the season with a knee injury. Both dealing with knee injuries. Lou Lopez getting surgery. Um, and more details will come out about Diamond as the team announces them. But yeah, it kind of sucks for the team, and then they're going to be missing Tierra McCowan a bit in June if she's going to go back overseas and compete for her team. And you don't know what this team's going to look like now. It's going to be very interesting because the kind of plan that they probably had coming in with,
Yeah.
especially with who they kept. They're kind of down to 10 people now. Don't have a whole lot of height on the roster, especially once McCowan leaves for a little bit. Your
Hmm.
tallest player is going to be 6'4", which is not too bad, but I mean they're necessarily not bigs, like Satu. I
Yeah.
mean, and Awak Kawir, who is 6'4", has the height, but is not the size. I mean, anybody with size
Yeah.
in the paint is going to give her some trouble
Yeah.
when those come around.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how they navigate this, how they decide to play, and who starts and if the roles are switched up from what they've already been, given if they've been given specific roles yet. Um, but yeah, it's a damper for Collier. Unfortunate that she could never really get the rhythm going out there and find her way in the league. We saw early on when she was drafted, her play out there. I feel like she could have gotten some more chances early on to try and right the wrongs. I feel like a lot
Yeah.
of times early on she was facing the juggernauts of the league, the Brittany Grinders, the Sylvia Fowles of the world, and just in the early games of the season, it just didn't inspire confidence at the time, and it just didn't improve, so it didn't help her
Yeah.
case. But I've heard there's been a lot of improvement overseas over the past season, and that there was word that they wanted to keep her, but the injury situation just didn't you know uh, make it so. But
Yeah.
it's just what it is now. We'll see if another team will want to pick her up. But there's a lot of talent that's been released lately, BJ.
Yes.
And there's some other players in the league. I'd have to go back into my Twitter, but some Chinese players that are going to be missing for some cup games, I believe. It's Lee Uweru, Han Shu was going to miss a little time, and maybe one other player will miss time as well. But there's some people that are going to be missing some time there. Emily Inkster was waived by the Mystics, and so is Jasmine Jones. Kayana Trailer was waived by the Sky. This Destiny Henderson was waived by the Fever. Bree Bill by the Lynx. Just coming through some notables: Jasmine Walker, waived by the Storm; Sika Cone, waived by the Liberty; and Dee Dee Richards, waived by the Liberty. And some of those, uh, as teams finalize their rosters down to 12 for the season, and all the tough cuts are happening and finalized. If not everybody's done right now, it's going to be finishing up here very soon. I believe that cutoff was, what did I say? Was it 4, BJ? I think it's
I
4
think it is 4,
4
yeah.
o'clock. So they've
So
only got
within an hour.
40 minutes. So if everybody's not done, then they'll be finishing up today, whatever little bit they have left to do, because the season starts tomorrow, of course.
Yeah.
So that's definitely happening today. So whatever you see online now is those official rosters, ladies and gents. And BJ, we got a season about to start
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow. Whole lot of action tomorrow. Um, Whole lot of action on Saturday as well. A lot of WNBA coming to the forefront immediately and in full force. Anybody listening to this episode, the season's already started, unless you're watching right now.
Or
Um,
before tonight.
right. And I want to see what you think about this Becky Hammon and the Aces situation. Of course, you've seen the news as we head into the season. The WNBA announced on May 16th that it has rescinded the Las Vegas Aces' 2025 first round draft pick for violating league rules regarding impermissible player benefits, and suspended Las Vegas head coach Becky Hammon for 2 games without pay for violating league and team respect and workplace policies. Due to prior trade, Vegas does not have a 2024 first round draft pick. The
Mm-hmm.
team violation involved promises of permissible benefits in connection with negotiations for an extension of then Aces player De'Erica Hamby's player contract. The respect in the workplace violation was related to comments made by Hammond to Hamby in connection with Hamby's recent pregnancy. After a complaint by Hamby on January 21st, 2023 of this year, alleging misconduct by the Aces, the league began the investigation. The investigation included interviews with 33 people and a review of numerous texts, emails, and other documents. During the course of the investigation, several individuals raised additional concerns about the conduct of the Aces during the most recent free agency period. The investigation was not able to substantiate any of those additional concerns.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, "It is critical that we uphold the values of integrity and fairness, which create a level playing field for our teams," said WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. Quote, "The Aces failed to adhere to league rules and regulations and have been disciplined accordingly. We're also disheartened by the violation of our respect and workplace policies and remain committed to ensuring that enhanced training is conducted and standards are followed across all
Yeah.
WNBA teams."
So let me ask you this then, Drew, because I think what I'm picking up is that De'Erica Hamby says that she was traded because she was pregnant. Is that correct? Is that what the what was alleged at least?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So, and what kind of the why Becky Hammon was suspended is because they were trying to get, more out of her, as opposed, like, while she was pregnant, as opposed to allowing her to take the time to, as she got closer and closer to her due date. Is that because I'm reading this where Becky Hammon has, like, defended herself and the organization after, she basically has denied that she, bullied De'Erica Hamby, um, and that, Becky Hammon says that the trade was just a business decision based on the Aces needs. So I'm just, unless there's, text and documents like you said that we won't see, that, basically is kind of saying, look at, as much so that it's like, hey, we need more from you or whatnot. I just, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something on this, as to why, I mean, obviously you can get traded for a number of reasons. I don't necessarily know that she was traded because she was pregnant. It obviously it's terrible timing, but that's what I'm just trying to figure out here.
There was supposedly, I guess, some pay under the table here, some
Ah,
promises, and
mm,
then that comes about. So I mean, there's been a lot of different speculations about it too, and there are players that are. I mean, of course, I mean the team defending Becky Hammon as well. So I mean, only people involved really know the truth of it. But this is what
Yeah,
we kind of got before us right now,
yeah.
and just kind of what we gotta run with here.
Because
Um,
this is something that goes against everything we've ever known or heard about Becky Hammon. If this is true, and that's part of why she said that she, and part of why she's defending herself. She says, "I don't recall my relationship with Hamby being anything but on the up and up, and I'm just obviously, along with the organization, disappointed with the findings. It's never good to have your name be associated with something like that, which is not who you are as a person. That's not how I operate." I did talk to my team. They were great. I have to say they've been very professional throughout this whole process. So it says, no Aces players from last season were interviewed by the league, according to Hammond. The WNBA said in its statement that the investigation included interviews with 33 people and a review of numerous texts, emails, and other documents. So I'm just curious as to all of this because if nobody that was on the Aces team was interviewed, there's obviously reason to try to besmirch the name and try to bring the Aces down a notch in any way after they won the title. They've got such a good roster. I'm just curious about this whole thing. If what proof? I guess we'll never know, like you said. But I'm just trying to see what how they could find proof without talking to anybody in the organization or currently like on the team that could say, that's not who Coach Hammond is. She wouldn't say or do anything like that. And
mm,
that's just where I'm, missing the point, I guess. Because she
oh,
also said, I've never had one bad text between me and De'Erica Hamby or one bad email. So if they look through documents like that, I don't know what they're going to find.
yeah, you never know. Who knows? I mean, I don't know which way to really lean on this because, like you said, I mean, it's just we don't. It seems like you don't know which side the truth is. Like when she
Yeah.
was when this first started happening, you wanted to feel like you're on Hamby's side. Now
Mm-hmm.
Becky's defending herself. It's like, what are we talking about here? Like, and then it may. I mean, like, which way do you want to go with it? Um,
Yeah.
but I don't know, man. It's just a lot of drama. You
Mm-hmm.
see that Hamby's already going to be prepared for the start of this season. I mean, she's
Mm-hmm.
way
Wanting
ahead
to
of
move
schedule.
on.
It
Yeah.
was originally supposed to be like the All Star break, but she's ramped it up. But and I think I saw that she said that she intended to be prepared by the season start anyway. So that just made things hurt all the more with the Aces and Becky Hammond. So
Yeah.
um, yeah,
Who knows?
it's
Who knows?
you really never know sometimes unless it's kind of right there in our hands.
Yeah,
But
and that what when we get to grow this up, that we get like some researchers on our team. Maybe then we'll find an answer. We'll get them to research it for us. And
get an insider.
exactly,
Um,
exactly.
but BJ, we gotta do some awards predictions here.
Hmm.
New season coming up, and we got new people trying to claim some hardware, or some of the same old people trying to get some hardware once again. And where do you want to start? You want to go with least valuable awards to the top, or
Yeah, let's kind of build up the drama and suspense with
okay,
the award prediction.
let's do some executive of the year first then.
Okay. Well, I mean, for me, Drew. I mean, if you want to go first, I can let
Oh,
you.
you got it, brother.
Well, I need to find the name for sure because I don't want to butcher it. Um, but I don't think it will surprise you, especially when you see kind of where my thought process has been this year. But um, I think that ultimately the executive of the year that I'm going to give the award to is going to go to Jonathan Kolb.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna stick with Dan the Man Padover in Atlanta. I mean, they
Okay,
put together a nice team. You plan to see
absolutely, yeah.
Atlanta as one of the playoff teams and probably a top six team. Hope maybe this
For
year.
them, hopefully, yeah.
Going this year, they got some new acquisitions that are going to do them well. Haley Jones, Alicia Gray, just a couple of note. I'm going with
Hmm.
Mr. Dan Padover to get another one to his resume.
Yeah, that'd be good for him.
Okay, Coach of the Year, BJ.
Well, this is where I think, Drew, then you'll bear with me here. Uh, Not going back to New York, so I'm going to build up the suspense just a little bit here. I like what you were putting down there, Drew. I like, oh, gosh.
Huh? Lost it.
Yeah, I did. I did. Now I have it. I like Tanisha Wright.
Oh, gotcha. I was like, I don't know
Yeah.
where he was going with that. I could not. I was not.
I
I did
was
not have
picking
a
up what you were
word.
putting down.
Okay, I didn't have a word to toss to you. But like I didn't know where he
Yeah.
was going,
Yeah.
but I got you now.
I had to like
Denise Ryan.
was trying to go through the coaching staffs in my mind, and that's where it was, and it's like, oh yeah, of course, duh.
That's a good call, Beach. Good
I
call,
like it.
Beach. I'm not going there with you though with
That's
Tanisha
fine.
Wright. I'm gonna go out to Connecticut and give you Chrissy Sides.
Okay.
Because
First
Connecticut, I
year
think
coach.
we're not going to have to worry about them being a bad team, missing playoffs again, because we've seen them without one of their stars before, and we've seen what they can do without John Quell.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it wasn't the most beautiful thing in the world, they can win and get wins in the playoffs with Alyssa Thomas leading the way, and they'll be doing that again.
Sounds
And
good.
Christy
I like it.
Sod's new first-year head coach, going to get
Yeah.
Coach of the Year.
I that just like you, like it was like me last year with Becky Hammon.
Yeah, I don't know about a championship in Connecticut
I
though.
don't know about that either. I just
Yeah,
meant I think I had her as coach of the year too, though.
yeah.
So
All right, let's see. Where do we want to go next? Let's go most improved player.
most improved player.
Hmm.
Well, I like Alicia Gray, but I'm not picking her. We talked about hopefully, her thriving in Chicago. Maybe Marina Mabry.
Maybe, or is it?
Maybe that's who I'm going to go with. Maybe the new situation with the Sky is going to be what she needs to really kind of show out and take the league by storm. I'm hoping at least. So that's where my pick is going.
All right. Well, it's the first time we have landed on the same pick here.
Look at that.
I'm going Marina Mabry with most improved player
I
as
like it.
well. She's got a good situation out here in Chicago to really kind of bolster. She's kind of gotten better every year. She's gotten the minutes out there, so and she'll get plenty in the Windy City.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Let's see. Where do we want to go with this one? Rookie of the year, BJ.
The rookie of the year, you say?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, I like Aaliyah Boston. It's really tough to go against her right now.
Oh,
I don't know if I'm gonna if there's a really, I mean, there's a few options that we have, but um yeah, I don't know. I think it's gonna. I really think that it's gonna be Aaliyah Boston.
okay. I'm right there with you. Leah Boston's got it
Okay.
locked
Yeah.
down, rookie of the year, regardless of what they've got in Indiana with the number 2 pick last year, and Alyssa Smith down there in the
Yeah.
post with her, and the tenacious Kelsey Mitchell out there. I think Boston's still going to get plenty of looks. She'll have single coverage and be able to do some work. Rookie of the year
I
coming
like
her
it.
way.
I like it.
Let's go with the sixth player of the year next.
Sixth player of the year. I'm gonna look at another player from New York. I'm gonna go with Maureen Johannes.
Johannes.
Johannes. Sorry,
Let's
the
go.
the little tilde or whatever that is kind of threw me off.
Let's get it. That's a good selection.
Okay.
I'm going across the way to Vegas. Alicia Clark. They've got a star-studded starting lineup out there,
Mm-hmm.
and she'll more than likely be the first one off the bench.
Yeah,
Just
I like
assuming she
that.
does remain off the bench. So I'm going to go with Alicia Clark for 6 women.
I like it.
Next, we got defensive player of the year.
And defensive player of the year, you say? Hmm. It's good. I mean, it's one of those that you look at, and there are a lot of good options, Drew. When you're talking about the possibility, does BG find her way back onto this list after the year that she spent in the Russian prison. I mean, there's a lot of good, intriguing storylines for the defensive player of the year. But you're talking about first year coach out in Connecticut, and I think if she's going to get coach of the year, it's going to be because of Alyssa Thomas being that dominating presence down there, trying to shut things down defensively. I think I'll go with Alyssa Thomas.
Well, BJ, we're in line again with a third
I
selection
like it.
for the awards coming into this one. I also got Alyssa Thomas. I've had a struggle not putting Alyssa Thomas somewhere else, but the engine is going to be the engine absolutely that drives the
Mm-hmm.
Connecticut Sun into a winning season this year for
Yeah,
Connecticut. It is going to be the defensive player of the year.
I like it.
Last but not least, BJ, the MVP.
Well, Drew,
Will Asia
it,
Wilson repeat?
I said last year I thought she would eke it out in a close one, and that's how it happened. This year, Brianna Stewart won't be denied. Stewie, in her first year back with the New York Liberty, is going to be the MVP of the WNBA.
You look at my paper,
I did
BJ.
look at your paper.
Oh, Stewie MVP as well. That's where I thought about going with Alyssa Thomas. And no
I like the
disrespect to
thought
Asia
though.
Wilson,
Yeah.
but
No, absolutely not.
at all. But I think we're gonna slide it over to Stewie here, and the undeniability of the New York Liberty trying to
It's
get
tough
that
to go
first
against
title.
them. Yeah.
Yep. All those players hungry for a title, Stewie just to bring New York its first one, JJ to get
Mm-hmm.
her first one, Salute to get another one,
Inescu.
to get her first,
Yeah.
and man, so we'll see
Yeah.
how that goes. So those are the awards predictions for the season.
I like it.
Beach. I'll see if I can keep these in the book. I thought about ripping this out, but now we're not gonna. So we have. So I've got what I've got
We
here
can
for.
obviously clip it too,
Yeah,
and
we
we'll
can.
have
Well, I
that at
mean,
the
we're
end of the
definitely gonna
season.
clip it. What are you talking
Oh,
about?
of course.
We're definitely gonna clip it. Let's see. Did I miss anything on the WNBA side? We talked about
Uh,
cuts. We gave predictions.
mhm.
Do you want to go ahead and give some playoff predictions?
I was gonna say I
Teams
can
that
give you.
will
I
make it.
would give you my title prediction. I think we can kind of
That'll
hold
work.
off on just going fully in depth. But I mean, last year we talked about the Aces winning in Becky Hammon's first year. Drew, who do you have winning it all? And I promise I'm not looking at your notes. If, hopefully we'll have a different opinion, but if you're going with the same team, I can understand why.
New York.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, the
New York.
Liberty. It's. I just the only other team outside of a Vegas repeat, and we've already talked about how rare that is. I think you said that it hadn't happened since the what 0102.
Well, hold on.
It just doesn't happen. The league
Can I
is so.
rewind?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is
All right.
Vegas.
You want Vegas? You want the repeat?
I want the repeat
Okay. Well,
because I
I
want
was go-
Candace to get under the ring. I forgot that
I
part.
was taking
She
New
didn't have me.
York regardless, so I'm not upset with you giving another
I'm
option.
switching sides.
I was gonna say if it's not New York and it's not Vegas, I like the Mystics as a surprise or maybe a dark horse. I don't know.
If
They
EDD
shouldn't be a
is
dark horse.
healthy, I mean
Hmm.
they're the ultimate
Yeah, they
quote
shouldn't be a
unquote
dark
dark
horse,
horse,
but yeah.
quote unquote to get it. But yeah, I'll fix myself. Sorry, New York fans.
Hey,
Let
I'm
me get
wearing
back to
I'm
reality
I'm
here.
wearing the green Liberty hat right here. Oh, that's not the
Yeah,
Liberty, but
gotta give
it's
some love to my favorite player in the league that she gets another one before she heads out. Okay,
you like it, yeah.
so it is. So Aces it is, and Liberty for Beads. Okay, we'll give those
All
playoff
right,
predictions once we see these teams play a little bit of basketball.
absolutely,
But in the
yes.
meantime, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for some with it or quit it. We got a famous game around here we like to play all the time. It's called With It or Quit It. And I got 5 questions for that man, Mr. BJ over there.
Hey, hey, hey.
He just got to let me know if he's with it or if he's going to quit it.
Okie dokie, let's play the game.
All right, BJ, this will be a slightly different version of With It or Quit It
Slightly
than,
different.
yes, than you have experienced in the past. But
Oh,
it's still With It or Quit It, all the same.
hmm. Slightly different is what's intriguing and curious to me.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Had to write down my championship pick. Make sure that was documented. All
Documented.
right, number one, BJ. Diet soda With it or quit it?
Quit it. I if
Quit
I'm
it.
gonna drink soda, I'm just gonna drink the regular version, and I will limit it. Like that's the only one I'll have, and I've been trying to cut back on that. I'd rather take the risk of the sugar as opposed to whatever they're using in place of it with the diet soda. I'm full quitted on diet sodas.
Have
The
you
same
ever?
same goes for the zero sugar sodas, by the way.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna ask you, have you ever liked any of them, the zeros or any diet?
No, I mean the at least the zero sugar is closer to the taste, but it's still I've just no, don't like it.
I
Quit it.
like the Sprite Zero,
I
surprisingly
haven't had the
enough.
Sprite Zero actually.
It's excellent.
Okay,
It's
maybe
worth
that's
buying a pack of.
maybe next time I'm at one of those fountain spigots that the Coca Cola Freestyle things, I'll try a Sprite Zero for you and see what I think.
Yeah, okay. Let me know.
Okay,
All right, number two. I'm having to change this up because I accidentally asked you it already, like a fool.
I
Um,
probably would have forgotten. You
so,
could have gotten
so
away with it again.
yeah, so I'm gonna use two different coaches this time.
All right.
Will Mike Budenholzer, let me not Will, Mike Budenholzer
Mhm.
gets a new head coaching job before Nick Nurse? With it or quit it?
Absolutely with it. I think Nick Nurse, I think Nick Nurse is a good coach, but I really think that was the Kawhi run more so than anything that he did. And Budenholzer, I
Ooh.
think, is a good enough coach that built, had that Milwaukee squad playing together as a team and has that team building kind of mentality. I think he's going to be getting a job before Nick Nurse, and I think he is going to do another, have another fantastic run wherever he ends up. And
Eh.
just depending on where they might be a perennial playoff team.
BJ says Nick Nurse is a fraud.
I
That's
didn't say he was a fraud. Now you're putting words in my mouth.
said that whole run was just Kawhi.
I
Oh
didn't say. I
man,
said that was a
give
Kawhi
back that
run.
Coach of the Year award, huh?
Well, I was to say, that wasn't that the Coach of the Year award he got the year that LeBron and them won, or was that a different Toronto coach that year?
It was Dwayne Casey that
That's
got it.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. All right. It's slipping out of my head as we get further along down the road since then.
Number three, sugar-free gum. With it or quit it?
It's an interesting take.
Ooh,
Um,
I got a good question.
I'm probably with it. I don't think I've had
Probably
sugar
not.
free gum though. Is the thing.
What?
I can't.
Ever?
I don't know. I not that I can recall. I just I don't. I'm not a big gum chewer in general though. Drew is like the thing, and I don't
Really?
when I chew gum, it's not for like the sugar or anything like that. I used to like try to suppress my appetite back in high school by chewing gum,
Hmm.
and maybe that's what I need to do is because of getting that feeling of chewing even though you're not and you're not swallowing gum or anything like that. um, Maybe that would be beneficial as opposed to you know what I've got going
You
on
haven't
right
had
now.
Stride, Five Gum, or
Oh,
the
yeah,
icebreakers?
yeah, I've had 5 gum and icebreakers. I just
Those
didn't
are
know they were
sugar
sugar
free.
free. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I don't have a problem with that.
yeah. Like the sugary stuff, is you thinking like the Hubba Bubba,
Oh yeah,
Big League Chew,
yeah,
the tape.
the extra, yeah,
Yeah,
extra was bubble gum.
yeah.
But yeah,
Okay. Number four, remix the
what
Texas Rangers. Man, we love those Texas Rangers.
we sure do.
BJ, you believe the Texas Rangers are a playoff team already? With it or quit it this season?
I'm with it. I'm with it. Now,
Oh, it didn't take too long.
I'm with it.
Go.
I now obviously with anything, there are some issues with this team.
Hmm.
There's going to be some moves that need to be made, especially in the
Hmm.
bullpen.
Hmm.
That's something that, as opposed to selling at the deadline, where I think we need to be buying if we do want to be. And I think that the addition of Bruce Bochy as manager, is was welcome and necessary. And I think that they are playing just phenomenal outside of some struggles at the back end closing out games. I'm worried about the rotation. Nathan Evaldi's been phenomenal. Martin Perez has had some couple of missteps, but I mean I really like what I've seen from Dane Dunning as well.
Hmm.
He's been phenomenal as fill in for Jacob Degrom. There's there's some problem spots, obviously, and they're not perfect. They're not, I don't think they're going to win it all this year, but I mean, the way that the offense has been, when they're clicking and clicking on all cylinders, you just hope you get a big enough lead until you get some things done to, help out in the bullpen. But yeah, I think they're a playoff team this year. I think that they have already kind of put themselves in good footing, and some key injuries to Houston and Seattle have really made them, they don't have that big of a lead, and I don't think that they will expend it, like run away with anything. But as long as they continue to be consistent and keep winning 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4, or even splits, or if you are able to not, if you're able to avoid being swept basically in these series, I think they can absolutely be a playoff team this year.
And last but not least, I don't know if I've asked you this one before, but I don't think I have. Number 5. Pineapples on pizza. With it or quit it?
I don't know if you have or not. It feels like you might have, but at the same time, even if you have or you haven't, I'm gonna quit it. I've tried
No,
it. I'm not a fan of it. I
rude.
have a really good friend that thinks I'm crazy. I'm like, no, you're the crazy
No,
one.
yeah, they're crazy.
But I mean, that's the thing is like I I just don't feel like it belongs. I'm always been
Ooh.
more of, like not as like sweet. It's more, it's got to be like the salty. I need the, like if it's like a sweetness, like barbecue sauce, I can do barbecue sauce. That's fine. That feels like it can go with chicken or bacon or hamburger, like more so than having like a pineapple topping. Because for me, it's like it's got to be vegetables on there instead of fruits. So
I'm glad you quit it. I don't like pineapples on
yeah, I
pizza.
don't I don't either.
Well, BJ, that is with or quit it.
And that's the episode, Drew.
That is indeed the episode. That's probably the fastest we've gone around the association with that much information to spew out as well. I almost feel like I was missing stuff.
No,
Oh,
I think we
wh-
got through everything.
wait, no. Who you got
We
tonight? Lakers, Warriors.
not Lakers Warriors
I'm sorry, Lakers, Nuggets.
in game 2.
Yep.
Um, you really feel like this needs to be one that the Lakers win if they want to win the series. I think that this is a game that's going to come down to the wire, and I think the Lakers can win this game. It's going to be a
Yeah.
close one either way, though. I really feel like it's not going to be separated by more than a possession, 3 or 4 points at most.
Lake Show, double digit win today.
That's bold. I like the boldness. I don't know if I like the take necessarily, but we'll see. We'll see how it works out.
Lake Show, double
It's going
digit
to be
win.
interesting to watch.
Tied up 1-1. Who you got for game 2 of Boston and Miami when
I
it
like
comes
the
around?
Celtics to even the series as well, in their quest to get back to the finals. I think that Boston is gonna get it figured out. I think that I don't know what was the, obviously talk about what Jimmy Butler has done all throughout this postseason, but I mean Jason Tatum has been either really off or really on, and I feel like he's going to be really on tomorrow night in Game 2.
Right there with you, BJ. Boston taking game 2, time series up 1-1. We agree on both of them. We'll see how it
Heck yeah!
goes. And game 3 will probably happen before we come back. Got a game 3 prediction?
For both series.
Yo, both series.
Ooh,
I'll go first.
I don't know.
I got a Lakers winner and I got Miami winning.
Something tells me that it's. I'm gonna see. I think I'm gonna agree with you, but I think we might. We're gonna be right around Game 4 for Miami and Boston, and before we get to Game 5 of the Lakers Nuggets. I think that they're going to end up being 2-2 going back to Denver. I think the Nuggets will be the ones
Okay.
to win a road game. I don't really see either series being 3-1. I see these both being evenly matched, and it'll be, I think both teams will have to get to a best of 3 at being tied 2-2. It's kind of how I'm feeling right now.
I'm gonna be bold here and say the Lakers come back 3-1 up over the Nuggets by the time we have another episode.
Wow.
And Boston and Miami are tied 2-2.
Okay.
Mm,
It'll be
let's
interesting.
go.
It will definitely be interesting. They haven't lost a home game in the postseason, so you're putting your smart money. But if that trend continues, then it'll be 2-2 because the Nuggets are going to win tonight. So maybe.
No. This is the game the Lakers win. They're gonna win
We'll
three
see.
straight.
We'll see. I like the boldness. I will say that.
Let's go. And now it's the end of the episode. Make sure you follow those socials up there at the underscore lowdown on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, and now Facebook.
Look at that. That Facebook logo in all its shining glory up there on the
Yeah.
top.
And if you watched the episode, you might have been watching on Facebook today. Shout out to you guys.
Look at that.
But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you guys next time on another edition of the Lowdown. Peace. Peace out.